Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard. Thank you for watching today's Northeast Regional Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, the big storm system that brought problems to the central United States is moving off to the north and the east right now, and it's bringing some light precipitation to the northeast right now. Nothing like we saw in the central plains, the high plains there with the blizzard conditions, but the chance for some light snow across northern areas here and areas close to the lake. Some light rain moving through parts of the northeast as well, and then some thunderstorms possible, maybe even an isolated severe storm as we get into parts of Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia down here. There is a marginal risk of severe weather there from the day one outlook issued by the Storm Prediction Center this morning on Friday. And that includes, of course, Delaware, parts of Maryland, and also parts of Virginia there heading down into the southeast. A very low risk here for maybe an isolated tornado, maybe an isolated damaging wind gust from one of the stronger storms in there. Total precipitation amounts here, pretty spotty as you look across the area. Some enhanced precipitation coming from the lakes there, across eastern portions of New York, northeastern Pennsylvania there. And then the heaviest precipitation going to be confined to coastal areas there going up and down the coast of the northeast, with again the chance for the heavier storms to the south across parts of New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland there, and then coastal parts of the northeast and northern regions seeing some light rain. When we talk about snowfall, that's going to be again lake-enhanced snow coming from parts of the Great Lakes there in eastern New York State. Some high elevation snow possible as you get into parts of northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and northwestern Maine. We're going to be shifting over to a quieter pattern across much of the central U.S. for at least the next week or so. Here's the trough of low pressure associated with the storm system that is departing to the east. As that begins to move off to the east or continues to do so, we see a ridge of high pressure build in over the central U.S. An alignment like this, I'll go ahead and pause it here when we get to the end of the loop. We've got this ridge building over the central U.S. We've got colder air. This keeps a colder pattern in place over the northeast, but it deflects any storm systems here. It kind of suppresses the storm track over the southern U.S. So instead of seeing major storm systems develop over the central U.S. moving into the northeast, we're going to see any storm systems kind of being pressed down to the southern U.S., and that's what leads to what's going to be cooler, but kind of a quieter pattern going through the next week or so. We can look at the European models forecast here for the next 10 days or so, or the next week, getting us through Friday of next week. Precipitation in terms of a departure from average, and you see dry conditions, that brown shading across much of the U.S., the exceptions being in the desert Southwest, South Texas, and South Florida, where we're seeing some precipitation again. All of those in the southern U.S., where we'll see some storm systems moving through over the next week or so. To the north, it's going to be a little bit quieter, and that means dry weather for many. We'll look at the precipitation type forecast then from the European model for about the next 5 days. Here we see the storm system exiting over the northeast, and then quiet conditions for the most part as we go through the next week. There you saw a little storm system possibly as we get towards the back half of next week, but that's way out there, and that's, doesn't look like anything too substantial at this point. Now our temperatures, we're going to be cooling down. We're in the warm sector there. We got warm southerly winds bringing in unseasonably warm temperatures all the way into the 60s as far north as New Hampshire and Vermont, 70s all the way into central Pennsylvania and parts of Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware there as well. These are our Friday high temperatures, though, as we get into the day. Saturday, much cooler still as we get into Sunday with 30s mostly overspreading the area, 40s to maybe 50 degrees as you head south across the area. But as I said, we'll be quieting down. Won't have these big storm systems coming every 3 or 4 days, but we will be cooling down in the northeast as well for about the next week or so as well. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Sunday morning ag forecast, and I'll have your next Northeast regional forecast right here on Tuesday. Have a great weekend.